Hello, my friends, welcome back. We are looking at enhancing the card game war project from the WiByte Python curriculum available at www.wibyte.in. In this video, we are going to look at a very interesting enhancement where we are going to give our player an active role in the game. Now, recall that our game is basically just a computer versus computer game because even the player is effectively the computer. Both of them are picking up the cards by their own, but we can in fact make it different. We can give a more active role to the player, as we'll see. For example, we will show our player the top three cards on the pile that the player has and allow the player to choose which card to play. This is quite interesting but also not very hard. Now, what are the steps needed to do this? Well, first thing first, we must make the game pause to let the player make a choice. Now, this can be done using an input statement. We must tell the player the top three cards that are available. We must take the player's choice card because it's going to be one of the three cards. We must, however, make sure that the player is picking up a valid card, not cheating or not inadvertently giving a wrong answer. This card that the player picks up must be from the top three cards that were shown. And for all of this, we need a while loop. We need to now remove the chosen card from the player card list. Now, this is, it's important because remember previously we had a pop statement. Pop statement took care of the removing part. And finally, we can let the game proceed as usual with just one change, that we will, make sure that the player has at least three cards to play the game. So all we will do is that, well, we'll get into the loop where we were previously choosing the card, which was say card piece player, card pop. Here, instead of this, I'm going to put a while loop. I'm going to say, well, pick up a card from the player cards one. So top three player cards, 0, 1, and 2. If the card that's been chosen by the player is indeed part of this, this part of the list, then that's a valid card. Choice is done, and I can remove this card from the, from the list here. And really, that's about all we need. Like I said, we will make sure that the player has at least three cards and the computer also at least three cards so that the game can proceed. So in order to make this happen, I come in here to my code, I say, look, like I said, I'm going to make the limit at least three so that, both have to play for at least three cards. Now, instead of letting the player, let's say, be like the computer, I'm going to make the choice available to the player. And I say, well, say, let the player choose. And for this purpose, I'm going to set up a while loop. So I say, well, choice done is equal to say false. And so I just say while not say choice say done, basically player has not yet made the choice. So I'm going to player to make a choice here. So I tell my player, okay, look, print, I say, well, select a card from these cards, let's say, and I, put a small, let's say, print over here, and I just make sure that it stays on the same line so that the next statement can come here. So I put an end of an empty space here, and I say, well, there's a question now. I say, well, card underscore p is input. Remember, input will pause the execution and ask me to sort of respond. And I just put this here, for example, player cards say 0 plus, let's say, a comma plus say player, cards say 1. Now you can write a bit more concisely using a loop, but this is good enough for now. And I say, well, look, one more comma and plus, let's say, player cards say 2. So that's the top three cards. I'm saying, okay, pick up one from these. And of course, I will put a \n at the end, right? So I just say, okay, look, \n. Now, that's a question being asked, but player will respond, and I can now check if my player has responded in a in a valid manner. So I say, well, if card P is in this part of the list, so I say player cards. Now again slicing, I can just say 0 to 3 in steps of 1. If card P is one of these cards, then indeed the player has chosen, let's say, correctly in a meaningful manner. And I can then say, okay, well, this choice is done. So I say choice done is say true. And also I go and this part is very important. I go and remove this from the player cards because this is now has been chosen out. It cannot be chosen again. So I just say players that call say remove card underscore. Now, like I said previously, we had this pop statement. I've commented it out. Pop was taking care of the removing part, and really this is about it. This has made the game a lot more interesting. The player has a lot more involvement in this. All right, so now, for example, the game starts. It gives me a choice. Select a card from these: SX, HA, and S3. Obviously, I'm playing for the largest number. Hence, I'm going to pick up HA. That's a valid card. Player card is HA. Computer card is H3. Obviously, I win. Now, I get more cards. Now, next time, again, I get to choose between, say, SX, C3, and S3 and C2. I will, this is actually interesting. I can, in fact, I have two choices. I can choose SX, which is what I'll do. Larger card is always better for me, I think. But I could also have chosen C2 and have it removed, because remember, the lower card will always get eliminated in the speed war, which we are implementing here. So I say, however, SX. It turns out that computer wins. I did try my level best, but computer's card was even bigger. So it's equal now. Again, this time around, not great cards. C2, S3, C2, C4. Let's say I'll stick with, let's say, C4. Still go for the largest. Hope for the best. Computer has a bigger card. Computer wins. This time around, I get a choice to play a joker. Why not? I will play a joker. And indeed, my card wins. So remember, my C2 was there. I have to sort of sometime kind of play this. Otherwise, I'll be stuck with these cards. So, maybe this is a good chance for me to play C2. I play C2 here. Computer wins, but never mind, the C2 will get removed. And good thing is that now I managed to get a bigger card, which hopefully gives me a chance to win. So I try, let's say, S9. Well, unfortunately, computer wins again. No problem. I, again, don't have great cards here. So computer is kind of leading right now. So let's say I will try to get rid of my 2, knowing that I lose, but never mind. I would have lost either way, so I just get rid of my 2 here. This time around, I do get a bigger card, so I play, for example, HJ. That wins, so that is good. I get to choose now. I'm getting good cards here. So remember, S3, D4. Now SA has come out, because remember here HJ has been played out with a Jack of Hearts. Now I have an Ace of Spade. Obviously, I'm going to play this because this gives me an edge. I'm going to win this. I win this, and I'm now back to square one. So again, not great cards, but never mind. Let me just try my luck here. Say D6. Computer's card is bigger. Clearly, you can see this has become a lot more interesting, although right now computer is winning, but I have a disproportionate edge because I'm getting to see a few cards here. Let's try, say, D8. Again, computer won. Maybe I'll, try once again. This time I'll try DX. So I win this because, notice here, it's interesting. If I had played the regular way, S3 would have been played, computer would have won, but here I chose a bigger card and I have won. And, in fact, the game can just go on like this. Obviously, I'll choose SJ over here. I win this again, and so on, right? So you get the idea. This has become interesting. This has hopefully tilted the balance in favor of the player. But again, you have to get good cards. Fundamentally, there's some amount of luck involved in this. But you see now how this has become a much more, let's say, involved gameplay where the player has to actively keep on deciding. Now, you can build variants on this. You can say that, well, instead of 3 cards, I'm going to show you top 5 cards and so on and so forth. Before I wrap this, however, let's say what happens if I try to cheat here. I say, well, give me an SA. When there ain't any, this guy won't allow me because that's not a valid card. Remember, it's not from one of these 3. I have to choose something from here. D4 is okay. And I let the computer win. I hope this is interesting to you. In general, if you think this way of learning where we build activities, incrementally advance them to make them more and more interesting, look at our website because that is how we learn programming. Take care. Thank you so much. Enjoy coding.